As ERod searched for another movie to bust, he suddenly realized that for vengeance, he no longer had lust. The holiday spirit had overtaken him again, and he knew that on his Blockbuster powers, he did not need to depend. Just for once, as he does every year, he put his weaponry aside to spread good cheer. In a world of uncertainty, where movie theaters are plagued by remakes and sequels, in a world where big budget movies can still suck, in this world we have the Blockbuster Buster. Greetings fanboys and fangirls, I'm ERod and I'm the Blockbuster Buster. Once again, the holiday season is upon us, and thus, I choose to speak about something positive for a change. If there is one idle conversation that is had in the world of fandom almost as much as the possibilities of crossovers, it's the possibility of your favorite shows being adapted into movies. Now, while it might seem that every show, comic, and video game is being made into a movie, the fact of the matter is that only the popular ones are being adapted. And in most cases, a lot of this material has no business being a movie. But I digress. Today I'm counting down my top 10 cartoons that should be movies. Not just because I like them, but because they each possess the epic quality that makes them worthy of the silver screen. Now, before I begin, I do have one huge honorable mention. The following show is not just one of my top 10 favorite shows of all time, but it's also a show that I'm very comfortable recommending to everyone. Samurai Jack. Now for those of you who don't know, Samurai Jack is about a lone samurai who was chosen to vanquish the ultimate evil, the shape-shifting wizard Aku. In his initial attempt, Jack fails and Aku transports him to the future, where Aku has ruled the earth for thousands of years. Now Jack must find the means to travel back to the past, vanquish Aku, and rid the world of his evil. Now those of you who are fans of this show are probably shaking your fist in the air and wondering why the hell this awesome show is merely an honorable mention. Well, the thing is that the creator, Genndy Tartakovsky, very much designed Samurai Jack to be a cartoon and nothing more. The pacing and the animation style is so unique that if adapted, they would either have to keep Samurai Jack animated, or they would have to make the movie really stylized, like Sin City. Weirdly enough, in spite of the fact that this show had a predetermined ending and that it won an Emmy, it was still cancelled. I would kill to see how Samurai Jack ends, and technically I would prefer it if they just revived the series, but a movie would be the lesser of the evils. And lastly, if you know nothing about Samurai Jack, know this. This show is the greatest example of visual storytelling that I have ever seen, relying mostly on imagery and action to tell the story, as opposed to using dialogue as a crutch. And it is in my opinion as a former film student that Samurai Jack should be required to be screened by all so-called aspiring filmmakers. Because I've learned more about visual storytelling watching 22 minutes of Samurai Jack than I did in 2 years of film school. Enough said. Alright, let's move on to the actual list. The following show was one that broke ground in the realm of computer animation. Alright, Guardians, put on your comm badges and prepare to upload. Number 10. Reboot. Arguably the first computer animated television series in the US, Reboot dealt with the adventures of 3 computer programs, or sprites, who lived within a computer in the city of Mainframe. There was Bob the Guardian, think antivirus software with cool silver dreadlocks. The lovely Dot Matrix, one of my own personal nostalgic hotties, Yowza, and her annoying little brother Enzo. Together they would fight to save Mainframe from corrupted programs, which were often computer games, not to mention that they had their fair share of nasty baddies, like Hexadecimal and Megabyte, played by the late great Tony J. If you were to watch the show right now, you may notice that it hasn't aged well. And for that reason, I feel that now the time is prime for this show to be made into a movie, as technology has finally caught up with the imaginations of filmmakers everywhere. And the full vision of Reboot can finally be realized. Hell, while I was watching the new Tron movie, I couldn't help thinking that it was more like Reboot than the original Tron. You know, minus the quirky humor. Suffice it to say, Reboot deserves a reboot. Reboot! Man, I gotta try that. Reboot! Nothing changed. Screw it. Let's move on. Alright, all agents from Sector 5, stand at the ready. Number 9. Codename Kids Next Door. K&D started out as an animated short in Cartoon Network's Cartoon Show, and was later picked up as a full-fledged series. Basically, the Kids Next Door were a highly trained team of child operatives that fought against anything or anyone that would oppress kids. And I kid you not, their missions were always comprised of ridiculous objectives that only kids would care about, like getting their candy back, or not being spanked, or stopping recess from being abolished. But what made the show work was how all the while their missions and scenarios were completely ridiculous, the kids took it 100% seriously, and in their eyes, everything that they did was epic! As long as they can translate that to the silver screen, the Kids Next Door will make a kick-ass series of movies that will put Robert Rodriguez's horrific Spy Kids movies to shame. Oh, and for all of you player haters that think that I don't know the show well enough to name the characters by their civilian identity and codename, this is for you. Abigail Lincoln, codename number 5. Wallaby Beetles, codename number 4. Cookie Sunbun, codename number 3. Hoagie Gilligan, codename number 2. And my personal favorite, all the way from Great Britain, Nigel Uno, codename number 1. Kids Next Door, Battle Stations! As somebody that knows a thing or two about magical relics, I have a deep appreciation for the following show. So monks, prepare for a showdown. Number 8, Shaolin Showdown. Once upon a time, a great monk named Master Dashi created great magical artifacts named the Shengan Wu to defeat a great evil. When that great evil returns in the present, 4 young gifted martial artists from different parts of the globe are assembled to find the magical weapons and defeat the evil once again. This show was like a cross between Indiana Jones, Jackie Chan, and Pokemon. Actually, Jackie Chan already had a show like this. But Shaolin Showdown was devoid of all idiotically annoying characters. And yes, I'm talking to you, Jade, you annoying bitch. And I'm not forgetting about you, you pompous old fart.
One more thing.
Ooh, if you say one more thing one more time, I swear to God I'm gonna steal your dentures! Another really cool aspect of the show was that every time more than one person touched one of the magical artifacts, the ownership of the item would be decided with a magical contest called a Shaolin Showdown, which served as the backdrop for some truly amazing action sequences. Why haven't they made this into a movie already? Make it now! Gong Yi Dai Bai! Alright, let's move on to some interdimensional fun. Number 7, Mighty Max. Now this is old school. Based on the toy line that was supposed to be the male equivalent of Polly Pocket, Mighty Max was a kid whose baseball cap was actually an interdimensional key, and it was his job to travel through other worlds and stop interdimensional threats. Of course, he would do so with the help of his bodyguard Norman and his mentor Virgil, also played by Tony Jay. Do I need to say more? It's like Doctor Who meets Sliders. Infinite possibilities for settings, no limits on the scope of the story. Get Randall Tex Cobb to play Norman and I am sold!
No chance we have the wrong address.
Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. It blows my mind that the following show has technically not been made into a movie. Number 6, Dungeons and Dragons, the animated series. I cannot think about my childhood without thinking about the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon.
Did you say the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon?
Whoa, nerdlinger. I do not have enough money in the budget to have a guest star in this episode.
But that's my favorite show. It had Eric the Cavalier, and Hank the Ranger, and Presto the Magician.
Obscure Sloopa.
I'm not gonna look. Oh, boy!
I wonder why only nerdy goobers are attracted to that girl. Oh well, anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, this show was awesome. It followed a group of average kids as they are teleported to the world of Dungeons and Dragons, and they must become great heroes in order to find their way back home. Like Samurai Jack, this show had a predetermined ending, and it was also cancelled before said ending was reached. But I don't just want D&D to be made into a movie just so I can see the ending. No, I want D&D to get the full-on Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings trilogy treatment. So you can really witness this coming-of-age story come to fruition, as you see our protagonists go from everyday kids to heroic, mature young adults. But technically, the movie could just be the 6 main characters sitting around a table telling fart jokes, and that would still be better than the 2 existing Dungeons and Dragons movies! Also, I used to watch this show dubbed into Spanish when I was growing up in Puerto Rico, and it has one of my all-time favorite Spanish theme songs.